Both desires constantly battled inside of me. In the end, life always won. I began to swim back for shore, but I didn't notice that the waves of the ocean had already begun to suck me farther away from the island. The tide moved against me as I kicked. Waves became higher, knocking me beneath the surface. Seawater forced its way into my nose and mouth, filling my lungs. I choked with every gasp. Blackness covered my vision. When I opened my eyes again, I sat on the sand of a shore. It was powdered white without any sign of seashells or footprints or life. The ocean was as still as glass. The sky was red with fire. Islands grew from the sea. Waves rippled as the hills formed, spreading toward the black clouds. My mother was there with me. She stood in the shallows. I could only see her back and the thick scars that wove over her skin, but I knew that it was her. This was often how she came to me, in my nightmares and in my dreams. She would tell me stories. Stories forgotten. Stories buried. My mother told me to listen. "You'll want to save them all," she said. I woke coughing, vomiting salt water that burned my throat. Hot sand stuck to my face and my wet skin and clothes. The sky was blue, though I'd been running in the night only moments before, the white sunlight scalding the muscle through my skin. Waves pushed and foamed around my legs. No one was on the shore with me. I couldn't see anyone who might have saved me. It wasn't a surprise that I hadn't died. It seemed the spirits were never done with me. Chapter 1. Shock vibrates through me and I feel a fear that isn't my own. It's a fear I know well, one that betrays the body whenever death is near. My heart begins to work in my chest. Sweat sticks my shirt to my skin. My limbs feel numb when I stand up. I'd been asleep on a hardwood floor, one I'd known as a boy in the room of an empty slave house where no one will sleep. The others take the empty mansions of the dead Congolese, living like they are masters. I prefer the slaves' quarters only because I'm alone here, with nothing but the shadows and the ghosts. When I look out of the window, I can see the lights, pinpricks of red and orange fire in the night. The flame reminds me of the night of the revolt, the fire that had spread across the island, the screams and pleas for mercy, the metallic taste of blood that mixed with the salt air. The blood sank into the dirt, and for weeks it smelled as though the islands of Hans Lollik was rotting. It's not the night of the uprising, and these aren't people who mean to set the island on fire. I feel their intent. I leave the quarters, shaking as I step down the splintered steps, walking along the dirt that's filled with rocks and weeds that cut into the bottoms of my feet. The nights are always colder in these islands, but in the time following the storm season, the sun becomes hotter during the day, the dirt capturing the heat that lifts into the air. My legs are weak with sleep, but I force them to run. This fear that fills me doesn't belong to me. She's realized that the men are coming for her. She can sense their anger, their hatred. She can see the images of what they plan. To force her legs open, to cut her until she screams for death, to hang her body from a tree. The men are already halfway up the sloping path of the hill, and at the top is the main manor of Ehrgard Constein. The manor is white against the black sky, glowing in the light of the full moon. It had once appeared like a castle that the northern empires might have, but it crumbles into ruin now, vines and brush and leaves attempting to swallow the manor and pull the stone into its grave, where its masters lay. It was hard work to put the Congolese with their pale skin into the dirt, but the Fjern of these islands believe that they will find paradise if they are burned and buried at sea. We would not give them this. I reach the top of the hill, past the garden of wildflowers and weeds, and walk into the courtyard. The stones are cracked and charred. The fountain, which had once shined in the center of the parties of the Congolese, collapses into chunks of rock. The men stand in a circle. They carry torches that gnats and moths follow, wings flickering in the light. One man comes from the front doors. He pushes the former...